We're just leaving the oasis now for a 20-kilometer journey back through the dunes to the nearest town. Today's video is about intentions versus actions, why I think we can get stuck in intentions so easily, and why the path out is always through action. I'm going to explain why. We woke up at 5 a.m. today, long walk ahead. Stick with me for the journey. Before we begin talking about intentions versus actions, I want to explain what I mean by being an action-oriented individual. I don't mean that you need to be the uber entrepreneur, the kind of person who gets shit done all the time, who pushes aggressively through even when you don't feel like it. I'm talking about committing to a craft, committing to a hobby, committing to being productive in some way. The way you're productive doesn't have to be measured by society, by the economy. It's measured by yourself, but it's actually being creative in a way that's very unique to you. And what I find is that when you are somewhat clear on your values, what's deeply important to you, you can start to figure out what your purpose in life is, what really matters more than anything else, and dedicating yourself to a mission that's greater than your own sense of identity, your own life, something broader than that. And then by engaging in something over and over, we start to build up knowledge. And they say if you do something for 10,000 hours, you practice it over and over, you start to become an expert at something. You don't need to be an expert at things that are highly valued by the economy and society, but it needs to be highly valued by you. And by committing to the craft, you build up this intuitive knowledge. The knowledge starts to become deeply entrenched in different parts of the brain and the body. And that can be accessed in very instinctive ways if you start to move away from intentions and more into action. So when you see that action comes from the building blocks of a commitment to your values, understanding a purpose broader than yourself, and building up your intuitive knowledge, then I think we can start to understand intentions in a very different way. I'm going to explain it in just a moment, but I want to show you a bit more of these incredible dunes and the journey we're on. Stick with me. It's been a really incredible journey so far. Weather's changing, it's just truly a beautiful part of the world. So what am I talking about when I talk about being an action-oriented individual? Keeping in mind what we just said, I want to use the example of creating these videos. It's something I've only just begun recently. I haven't reached anywhere near 10,000 hours of video creating, video editing, video producing, and speaking on camera. But it's something that is very deep and meaningful to me. It comes from an overriding purpose to share knowledge with others and hopefully connect people through what I'm sharing. That's why I've created IdeaPods. So I see these videos as an extension of that. So it's something that I feel very passionate about. I'm very driven to do it. And as I build this up over time and I reach that kind of magic 10,000 hour number or whatever really matters, I start to build the railroads in my mind, the experience, the knowledge, and it becomes deeply embedded. And then the next step is really important, and that is to start to surrender to my instinct. But the instinct comes because intuitive knowledge has been built up and it's been deeply etched into my mind through experience, through knowledge. When you can start to get out of the way, get away from the frontal cortex of the brain, the monkey mind, the action kind of surges through you, but it's being directed towards that deeper overriding purpose that comes from your values. And that's what I mean by being an action-oriented individual. I certainly haven't achieved it with these videos. I'm still constantly editing what I'm saying. I'm kind of watching myself as I speak, but I'm going to keep on going. And I've got no doubt that I'm going to reach that point where my action starts to flow and starts to be really connected to my instinct, to who I really am deep down inside. So that's what I mean by being an action-oriented individual. I want to talk a little bit about intention in just a moment, but again, I want to show you some more of this beautiful landscape. So let's now talk a little bit, let's talk about what it means to set an intention. I think when you set an intention, you are telling yourself that the path you're currently on isn't quite right and you need to shift direction. That in itself is fine, but keep in mind what I've been saying about action and how it comes from a place of deep values, a connection to your purpose and building up your intuitive knowledge. You may be thinking you need to set an intention to set the pathway forward, to start to build up those 10,000 hours or whatever it may be, to start to build up that intuitive knowledge. Well, let me propose to you that that intuitive knowledge already exists deep inside you. My example of creating these videos, I realize that over the last few years I have been speaking to so many people about my own ideas, about their ideas. Sometimes it's been in video form, sometimes it's been through a presentation, through lectures at universities. I've already been doing this, but the method changes over time. So when I can start to connect to my deeper values, these have already been there for probably since I was born, my purpose has been deeply connected to those values. And it's just been a process of discovering what that purpose is, being able to articulate my values. And I realized that as I deeply introspect, I've built up so much more intuitive knowledge than I could ever possibly conceptualize. So setting an intention takes me away from that. Whereas starting to surrender to my instinct, I realize that this intuitive knowledge has always been there. It just needs more of a pathway to come forward. So I really believe that the constant process of setting intentions, at least in my own life, has shifted me off path. I've become so much more susceptible to living through other people's expectations of me, questioning the direction that I'm on. But I realize now when I look back that this current path that I'm walking on, I've been walking on this path my whole life, and it just has required a deeper connection to who I really am in terms of my values, my purpose, and my deeper intuitive knowledge that resides right within me. What do you think? Is it the same with you? Are you someone who sets intentions? Do you feel that intention setting is powerful in your life? Let's have a conversation. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to this video if you want to see more like this. Look forward to getting to know you through the conversations that I hope this video starts.